Hey guys, and welcome to our online video. So tonight we're going to go through, and we're going to play a Would You Rather game, and then we are going to go through the story of Moses. And we're going to try to keep it kind of shorter tonight because we are throwing that game in, and Moses is a longer story, so it's going to be a quicker. It's going to be a quicker story, and I'm planning on doing a lesson or a series coming up on the Ten Commandments, which is from Moses, or is God gave to Moses, so that's from the story. So we're going to go through that a bit later. So to start off, we're going to play some Would You Rather. And the first one is Would you rather find $5 on the ground or find all your missing socks? I think I'm going to go my missing socks because $5 is $5, but I've lost a lot of socks over my years. And so that'd be worth way more than $5 to me. And some of my high school socks that I had for basketball were rather expensive, and I would lose one. Those Nike Elite were very expensive for socks. So I'm gonna say my socks. And the next one is: Would you rather blink twice the normal speed, or not be able to blink for 5 minutes and have to close your eyes for 10 minutes afterwards? Or not 10 minutes, 10 seconds. Sorry. So you would either be blinking twice as fast as you normally would, or twice as many times as you normally would, or you would not be able to blink for 5 minutes and have to close your eyes for 10 seconds afterwards. So you'd either be really good at staring contests or really bad. I'm going to say I'm going to be really bad. I would rather not be able, or blink twice as fast, because staring for a long time hurts your eyes, and that's just not pleasant. And so the next one is: Would you rather not be able to open any closed doors, or not be able to close any open doors, no matter if they're locked or unlocked? I think I would rather not be able to close any doors, because if you can't open any doors, you'd be stuck either in your house or outside your house. And yes, you want to be able to close your door, lock your door, but I would think I would rather be able to go out of my apartment or get into my apartment. So I'm going to go with that one. The next one is: Would you rather have a map that shows you where something is, but it has a margin of error within 5 miles? So you would be within 5 miles of the object. The map will show you within 5 miles of the object, but you can use it as many times as you want. Or a device that shows you exactly where one thing is, and is extremely accurate, but you can only use it 3 times. I think I'm going to go within 5 miles. That way you can use it to help search teams, and you can use it more times. It's not as convenient as the finding it right away, but 5 miles is still going to be very helpful in search teams. So I'm going to go with that one. And then the last one is, would you rather have someone impersonating you and doing really amazing jobs, but you get all the credit, or find money hidden in weird places in your house every day, but you can't figure out where it comes from? You can't figure out where it's come from, or just where it's come from. So I think I'm gonna go the money one, because I think I would get kind of jealous and upset that I wasn't the one doing this stuff and taking the credit for someone impersonating me. So I'm gonna go with the money one for that answer. So yeah, so that's all of our would you rather's. Hope you enjoyed those. Forgot to say it earlier, but if you want to go back or if you have yours, go ahead and send a message to me. Leave it in the comments, or just have fun thinking about them. Maybe write them down and ask some of your family members later. All right, so we're going through multiple Bible stories. Last week we talked about Jonah and the big fish, and tonight we're going to talk about Moses. So, at the time of Moses, um, at the time of Moses, he was an Egyptian, born into an Egyptian family, or not an Egyptian, an Israelite, born into an Israelite family. And the Pharaoh at that time was afraid that the Israelites were going to overtake the Egyptians. So he was like not letting multiple kids being born, and was really cutting down the amount of kids being born in Israelite homes. So he was having kids being killed to keep the population of the Israelites down. So Moses was one of those kids who was supposed to be killed. So what his family did is they put him in a basket and sent him down the river. Now, the Pharaoh's daughter found Moses and took him in as her very own. And so Moses grew up as an Egyptian living in royalty. So going through his life, he was just living with the Pharaoh, living his best life. And then he was out, just kind of keeping control of the Israelites, who were the Egyptian slaves at the time. And he saw an Egyptian abusing an Israelite. So he went over and he killed the Egyptian. And he had to then go on a run. Then a lot of stuff happened in between. He grew up, got older, and he ran into a burning bush. Now that bush was on fire, but it wasn't burning. If you've ever seen a fire, you will see like the wood and stuff starts to shrink, and gets like black on it and just starts to deteriorate. That wasn't happening to the bush. The bush was just on fire. And the bush started speaking. A voice came from the bush, and it was the voice of God, giving Moses instructions to go and talk to Pharaoh to let his people go from slavery. But Moses had a speech impediment, so God sent his brother Aaron to help him out with that. And Moses was worried that they weren't going to believe him, so God said, "Say that I am sent you," and there's a whole bunch about that. If you want to, we can talk about and get into that later. But we're not going to. For time's sake, we're going to just keep moving. So when he got there, he one of the ways that he was going to show that he was from God, is God said, "Throw it on your staff." When he threw down the staff in front of the Egyptians, the staff turned into a snake. Now, at the time, Egyptians would have had magicians who could do stuff like that, so they threw it down and they did as well. God had Moses grab the snake by his tail and pick it up, and it turned back into a staff. Well, then the Egyptians did that as well, and then the Moses snake ended up eating the Egyptian snake. I'm showing power. And he was like, "Let my people go, or God's going to send these plagues on you." And Pharaoh said no. And so the first one was their waters turned into blood. And so there was this blood in their waters, and none of the water was drinkable for a while. And Moses' heart was hardened. He still said no. The next one was God sent frogs. The Lord said, "This is what the great Lord says: let my people go, that they may worship us. If you refuse to let them go, I will put a plague on your whole country with frogs. Um, the Nile will teem with frogs, and the Nile was the river that was by. Um, they will come up into your palace and your bedroom and your bed. So the frogs are just going to be everywhere. And this is all in Exodus 7 um, through 10. Oh, 11. So I'm sorry. And so that was just the frogs. And the next one was lice and gnats, and they were just everywhere again. Um, and then the wild animals or flies. The fourth plague that the Egyptians was the creatures capable of harming their livestock. So their livestock started to die. And then um, then in Exodus 9, in Exodus 9, this is what the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, says: "Let my people go, so they may worship me. If you refuse to let them go and continue to hold back, um, the hand of the Lord will bring a terrible plague on your livestock and your horses and donkeys and camels and goats." So more again. So the first one was like flies just eating at the animals, and this one's gonna take out their livestock so they won't have any food. Then they had boils on their skin, and then thunderstorms of hail and fire. So just destroying stuff. And then he sent locusts everywhere, and then there was darkness for 3 days. And finally, was the death of the firstborn son. Now Moses warns the Pharaoh about this, and he still hardens his heart and says no. So they had to take blood of a perfect lamb, kill the lamb, and smear it over their doorway. And if they did that, they would be fine. Well, a lot of the Egyptians didn't. The Israelites did. The Egyptians did not. And so all their firstborn sons were killed overnight. And in the morning, when the Pharaoh realized, he was distraught and let them go as he lost his firstborn son. And in those times, the firstborn son was the most important, and would have been like the favorite. So he lets them go. Then he changes his mind later and sends the Egyptian armies after them, and they come up for Moses, and the Israelites are following a big thing of fire in the sky that's keeping them on the right path. They come across the Red River or the Red Sea, and it's in their way. They're stuck between the Egyptians and the Red Sea. And so God tells Moses to go and put his staff down. And then the water split open and the Israelites walked through. As soon as the Israelites, and the ground was dry, it was amazing. As soon as the Israelites come all through, a lot of the Egyptians are in the water, and God closes the Red Sea over them, killing a lot of the soldiers. And so the Israelites just became kept complaining because they were on the desert and they didn't have stuff. So they kept wanting to go back, and they kept wanting to go back. They didn't have food, so God provided them with food. And they were still upset, and they didn't have water, so God provided them with water, and they kept nagging. And then Moses struck a rock. That's one of the ways that God gave them water, was he struck a rock. He did it again out of anger, and because of that, they had to stay out in the desert for 40 days. Yeah, so they were out in the wilderness for 40 days. And then there's a lot more happens in the story that we'll get into some more with the Ten Commandments when we do that series. And so, yeah, that's where we're going to end it for tonight. For our application, God can use you no matter who you are or what you've done. Moses was an orphan, he had a speech impediment, and he was a murderer. And God used him to save a whole nation of people. So no matter who you are, what you've done, whatever your past is, God can still use you. So that is it for tonight. If you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to me. I hope you enjoyed this and maybe learned something. Until next time.